Hi everyone. The topic that we choose is all about the chapter 23 Last Trip Abroad 1896. So first of all, I would introduce first my name. So by the way, I'm Roma Lizelle C. Karen, the first reporter on this topic. So let's begin. So Rizal 4-year exile in the Pitan came to an end. So on July 31, 1896, Rizal left for the Pitan on board the Spania for Manila with delightful 5 places stopovers. So what are those 5 places? So first is the Dumaguete, second Cebu, third Iloilo, fourth Capiz, and lastly Romblon. He missed the regular steamer Isla de Luzon, which sailed to Spain the day before he arrived in Manila Bay while waiting for the next ship for Spain. He was kept as a guest on board the Spanish cruiser named Castella. And then in August 26, 1896, Rizal arrived in Manila. From the steamer that ferried him the Pitan, he was transferred to the Spanish cruiser named Castella, where he stayed for almost 1 month, pending availability of vessel bound for Spain. And then in August 26, 1896, Andres Bonifacio and the Katipunan raised the cry of revolution on the hills of Balintawak, a few miles north of Manila. And then on September 3, 1896, it was Rizal's last trip abroad. From Dapitan to Manila, leaving Dapitan at midnight, July 31, 1896, the Spania with Rizal and party on board sailed northward. And then in the next day, which is Saturday, August 1, it anchored at Dumaguete, capital of Negros Oriental. In Dumaguete, Rizal wrote his travel diary. And in Dumaguete also, Rizal visited a friend and former classmate named Herrero Rigidor and Rufina family. In the afternoon, he operated on a Spanish captain of the Guardia Civil. And then the Hispania left Dumaguete about 1 p.m. and reached Cebu of the following morning. Rizal was fascinated by the entrance to Cebu, which he considered as beautiful. And at the house of Attorney Mateos, he met an old couple whom he had known in Madrid. In Cebu, he wrote in his diary. So, ang sulod sa iyang diary maoni. So, Rizal did 2 operations of strabotomy. 1 operation on the ears and the second operation, which is the tumor. In the morning of Monday, August 3, Rizal left Cebu going to Iloilo. From Iloilo, Rizal's ship sailed to Capiz. After a brief stopover, it proceeded towards Manila via Romblon. Rizal misses ship going to Spain, arrived in Manila Bay early in August 6, 1896. Unfortunately, Rizal was not able to catch the mail ship de Luzon for Spain because it had departed the previous day at 5 p.m. He was greatly disappointed, but he took this unlucky incident with a bidding resignation. Near midnight of the same day, August 6, Rizal was transferred to the Spanish cruiser Castella by order of Governor General Ramon Blanco. Then Rizal stayed on a cruiser for about a month, from August 6 to September 2, 1896, pending the availability of Spain-bound steamer. And then let's move forward about the topic of outbreak of Philippine Revolution. So, while Rizal was patiently waiting on the cruiser Castella for the next steamer to take him to Spain, portentous events occurred, so presaging the downfall of Spanish power in Asia. And then in August 19, 1896, the Katipunan plot to overthrow Spanish rule by means of revolution was discovered by Fray Mariano Gil Augustinian Cora of Tondo. And then this starting incident struck terror into the hearts of the Spanish officials and residents, producing a hysteria of vindictive retaliation against the Filipino patriots. And then in August 26, 1896, it was the cry of Balintawak, which was raised by Bonifacio and his valiant Katipuneros in Pugad, Lawin. And then at sunrise of August 30, the revolution led by Bonifacio and Jacinto attacked San Juan near the city of Manila, but they repulsed with heavy losses. In the afternoon, after the Battle of San Juan, Governor General Blanco proclaimed a state of war in the first 8 provinces for rising in arms against Spain, Manila as province. So the 8 provinces are the following. So Bulacan, Cavite, Batangas, Laguna, Tarlac, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, and lastly Manila. Rizal worried for 2 reasons. The violent revolution, which he sincerely believed to be premature and would only cause much suffering and terrible loss of human lives and property, had started. So the second reason, it would arouse Spanish vengeance against all Filipino patriots. And then, mo na ang reason sa 2 reasons na Rizal. And then, in August 30, 1896, Rizal departure for Spain. The day when the state of war was proclaimed in the 8 provinces, Rizal received from Governor General Ramon Blanco with 2 letters. So these 2 letters are the following. So the Minister of War, and then the second one is the Minister of Colonies with a covering letter which absolved him from all blame for waging revolution. That's all for my topic. Thank you.
I am Judah Likayan, the next reporter for this topic, chapter 23. At 6 p.m. September 2, Rizal was transferred to the steamer Isla de Panay, which was sailing for Barcelona, Spain. The next morning, September 3, the steamer left Manila Bay. At last, Rizal's last trip to Spain began. Among his fellow passengers on board were Don Pedro Rojas, the rich Manila coal industrialist, and his friend and his son named Peregrine. September 7, Rizal in Singapore. The Isla de Panay arrived at Singapore. The following morning, Rizal and other passengers went ashore for sightseeing and shopping for souvenirs. In a travel diary, Rizal wrote, "I have observed some changes. There are more Chinese merchants and less Indians. I bought a Chinese gown. Singapore has changed much since I saw it." Don Pedro with his son disembarked at Singapore. He advised Rizal to stay behind too and take advantage of the protection of the British law. Rizal did not hear his advice. Don Manuel Camus and several Filipino residents of Singapore urging him to stay in Singapore to save his life. He also ignored the appeal because he had given his word of honor to Governor General Blanco and he did not like to break it. Victim of Spanish duplicity, by refusing to break his word of honor in Singapore, Rizal sealed his own doom. For without his knowledge, Governor Blanco was secretly conspiring with the ministers of war in the colonies, the Ultramar, for his distraction. Great hero and genius that he was, Rizal proved to be as gullible as Sultan Zaid, another victim of Spanish intrigue. For all his wonderful talents, Rizal was after all a mortal man, who committed mistakes, and one of his greatest mistakes was to believe that Governor General Blanco was a man of honor and a friend because they allowed him to go as free man to Spain, to become physician surgeon of the Spanish army in Cuba, where a bloody revolution was raging, and gave him two nice letters of introduction addressed to the Spanish ministers of war and colonies. Rizal arrested before reaching Barcelona, September 8 at 1 p.m. The Isla de Panay with Rizal on board left Singapore unaware of the Spanish duplicity, particularly of Governor General Blanco's infernal deceit. He happily continued the voyage towards Barcelona. September 25, he saw the steamer Isla de Luzon leaving the Suez Canal crammed with Spanish troops. September 27, Sunday 2 days later, he heard from the passengers that a telegram arrived from Manila reporting that execution of Francisco Rojas, Ginato, and Osorio. September 28, a day after the steamer had left port, said, a passenger told Rizal the bad news that he would be arrested by order of Governor General Blanco and would be sent to prison in Quito, Spanish Morocco, opposite Gibraltar. Shocked by the alarming news, Rizal belatedly realized that he was duped by the unscrupulous Spanish officials, particularly the sly General Blanco. With an agonizing heart, he immediately wrote a letter to his best friend, Blumentritt, unburdening his disgust and bitterness as governor follows. There was nothing official yet about impending arrest. It was still merely shipboard gossip. There are people on board who do nothing but slander me and invent fanciful stories about me. I'm going to become a legendary personage. September 30 at 4 p.m., he was officially notified by Captain Alemany that he should stay in his cabin until further orders from Manila. He graciously complied with the captain's directive. September 30 at 6:25 p.m. Arrival in Barcelona as prisoner. I saw through a tiny window the beautiful view of the port with its monumental and significant castle in 3 levels, illuminated by the lingering afternoon lights. October 3 at 10 o'clock in the morning, the Isla de Panay arrived in Barcelona. With Rizal, a prisoner on board, take trip from Manila to Barcelona lasted exactly at 30 days. He was kept under heavy guard in his cabin for 3 days. His jailer was no longer the ship captain but the military commander of Barcelona, who happened to be General Eulodio Despujol, the same one who ordered his banishment to Dapitan in July 1892. It was one of those coincidences in the lives of men that make history stranger than fiction. On his second day in Barcelona, Rizal, although held incommunicado in his cabin, noticed the city's celebration of the feast of Saint Francis of Assisi. He recorded it in his diary follows. At 12 o'clock, I counted as many as 31 cannon shots, and at 6 p.m. there were again as many. At night, there was a concert in the dining room which can be heard from my cabin. On October 6, 3 a.m., Rizal was awakened by guards and escorted to the grim and infamous prison fortress named Montjuich. He spent the whole morning in cell. At 2 in the afternoon, he was taken out of prison by the guards and brought to the headquarters of General Despujol. In the interview, which lasted a quarter of an hour, the bruised general told Rizal that he would be shipped back to Manila on board the transport ship Colon, which was leaving that evening. After the interview, Rizal was taken abroad the column, which was full of soldiers and officers and their families. That's all of our report for this chapter 23. Thank you.